Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Today you have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and David Duncan.
And just
hello, David.
Aaron O'Brien and David Duncan.
Just Doug.
It's not the five people smorgasbord we had last week.
Yeah, that was a little messy. So,
it was fun though, getting to talk with everybody because it was our first time with the entire Geek Tanks group. And I had them on for Rogue One way back in the day, but Aaron was missing for that one. So,
and I used to, I think they changed their dates, but because they changed to Thursdays. They used to have their live events on Wednesday for Rocky Mountain Geek Tank, and I used to watch it all the time because it was 7 o'clock their time, but it was like 10 o'clock mine. It was perfect for me, so I'd watch them. But yeah, it was great to interact with them, and obviously Guy has been on the show a billion times, so it was great to have him on. So,
and if anyone got to watch that live, thanks for watching that live.
Yeah, and if you want to listen to it, it's last week's episode of our Lower Decks episode. It was fun. A little weird at some points, just because everyone's talking over each other at some points, so it's kind of hard when we're remote. And
they wanted to avoid spoilers, so we didn't even talk about Lower Decks for the first hour.
Yeah, we talk about everything else but Lower Decks.
Everything.
But today we are going to talk about Lower Decks, and this episode, Dave, we have the Temporal Edict, and this is Season 1, Episode 3, and first aired August 20th, 2020. So we are in the beginning. We get the teaser with Boimler playing the violin and dancing and confusing his crew.
Wasn't that the what's his face's tune in the original series?
I don't remember.
Whenever he puts his feet up on the Scott, he puts his feet up on he takes over engineering, and he's like,
you're talking about
what's his face? Wasn't that the music he was playing, or the music that was playing over that?
It was an Irish, but it's like I don't know if it was. The name escapes me. It's any other time I would know it, but because you just threw it in my face like that. But then Mariner and Tendi show up, and they just start playing like a complete heavy metal set.
Which, it's kind of refreshing, because I'm tired of seeing everyone play all these like boring woodwinds, and like she brings out a flying V, electric guitar, which I thought was really nice, because really everyone only plays classical music instruments. Just something funny that happened for me in college. I went to a Christian college with very classical music oriented for the music program, and my group was the first group to ever use electric instruments for a recital.
And you were all expelled.
Yes.
You're in league with the Dark One.
Pretty much.
But because of Mariner's set that she throws off with this heavy metal, the bass reverberates through the ship, and they're talking with a Klingon bird of prey, and somehow that angers the commanding officer of the Klingon bird of prey, and he thinks like, "What's this bass you're just pounding out at me?" And Captain Freeman basically says, "She can't hear it. Maybe it's not still on your end." And then she's like, tells the security guy to go on and turn it off, and he goes down, and Mariner's already thrown her guitar onto the floor and said, "Thank you very much," and walked off stage. And then he goes to the security officer, Shax, comes and just breaks his violin in half. He says, "Captain says you're being too loud."
Yeah, it was kind of funny, but also it's just like totally disrespecting science, because that's it. The show's supposed to be canon, and like bass needs air to move, and there's no air in space, so the Klingon ship.
Well, there's air inside the. Yeah, that's a good. Well, maybe it was transmitting through the mic. On the bridge.
I mean, I guess, but it seemed like he called them up because he was bothered by the base.
Oh, I don't know. I just saw them facing. I just thought maybe they're talking. And
oh, maybe. I don't know.
But then we find out that was the beginning teaser, and then we find out that the Cerritos is going to Cardassia Prime for this big peace agreement, and they are stopped because they have to go give some trinkets to the inhabitants of Gelrec 5.
The peace summit got moved to Vulcan.
Yeah,
for the Cardassian thing.
Yeah.
And apparently there's some kind of peace dance that the Cardassians have to do, or that you have to do for the Cardassians. And I'm just like, I've never seen the Cardassians dance, and I kind of want to now.
That's hilarious. I could see Garrick dancing some weird gimpy dance.
I mean, he's the only Cardassian I can see dancing. None of the other ones can I ever envision dancing.
Yeah. Goldacott.
Even the lady ones, like the lady judge in the O'Brien episode, I can't see her dancing either. They're all so like mean. Maybe ZL I could see dancing. Maybe
they get all their freak on. Maybe they're like twerking. And
they just like put Kanar on each other and like twerk. Yeah. I kind of want to see this now.
Yeah. But Captain Freeman is pretty upset that they were kind of like
the laughing stock of the Federation.
And he's like, I gotta get this crew up to snuff, that we're not being laughed at for everything. Then we got the brig where we have Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford, and they're testing the strength of the force field, firing phasers at full blast.
on vaporize.
And he's like, he's totally unstunned. And after they get everything fixed, they start drinking margaritas, and then they start explaining to Tendi about buffer time. And he's like, what's buffer time? Well, buffer time is, we tell them it's going to take us 5 hours when it only takes us a few minutes, and then we just relax for the rest of the time. And you know what? This kind of makes me believe this is why Enterprise, everyone was always so damn relaxed.
Enterprise?
Like, yeah, on the Enterprise, everyone would always be like, kind of like, do, like, just like, just taking their time.
But like, you see, buffer
all
time.
Starfleet.
Buffer time is weird because Scotty used buffer time.
Yes, he did.
And in the episode Relics, Scotty even is like, yeah, I always doubled my time so I appear like a miracle worker, and that's one of the reasons why Geordi hated him. So yeah. Like, but then now they're making it like buffer time. Everyone does it. I'm like, no, they didn't do that next gen. Because it seemed like it was a Scotty thing. It didn't seem like it was a regular thing that happened. And now
it's obviously that some people do it and some people don't. Like Mariner definitely does it. Boimler never would do that, and maybe Rutherford never would do that either.
But it seemed like Scotty kept it a secret, or like it seemed like. But he was like confiding in a fellow engineer, and he's like, "You don't double your time."
The one thing I've found in my life is, especially when you're dealing with people and what they expect from you, is manage expectations. It's very difficult sometimes because people think they're going to get like the greatest thing, and you're like, you probably aren't going to get anything that great. So settle down. You're going to get so much at a certain time, kind of thing. I think it's an important thing in life. You just got to learn to manage expectation. Maybe Geordi was just working way too hard.
I guess.
So Captain Freeman starts walking through the ship, and she's yelling at everybody who just doesn't seem like working or just kind of like walking around. And she hears something about buffer time. And then when she goes in the turbo lift with Boimler, Boimler starts talking about buffer time. And then she's like, what is buffer time? And this is where it gets everyone in trouble, because what they find out is that the Captain Freeman says there will be no more buffer time, and you'll be timed for everything you do. And everybody has to scramble. Yeah, and they're all just burned out within like a day.
Yeah, they're just so dying, and no one can get anything done because they're so busy doing these busy work assignments.
Right, exactly. Then Commander Ransom goes down to an away mission with Mariner and a bunch of other people. They go down to present a crystal for people from Galarac 5, and Ransom yells at Mariner for having her sleeves rolled up. This isn't a barn.
Yes.
I thought it was funny because she always does have it. Always does her sleeves up. I think it's kind of a fun idea, but yeah. So when they land, they realize that they're supposed to present this like special crystal, and they worship. They're like really into crystals on this planet. And when they open the chest that's supposed to have the crystal, it's not a crystal; it's a piece of wood. And
it must be from the people that Archer had to do the chainsaw dance for.
Yeah, right. It's from the log lady from Twin Peaks. Yeah, so it's not the crystal, and it's this wooden fertility totem of Mavrock Prime, and they just get the Galrakians get totally upset, and they just start, because they're sworn enemies of people of Mavrock Prime, and they start just like throwing spears, and they stab one of the Bolians with a spear, and they get all. I'm
gonna die. And Mariner's like, you're not. We live on a spaceship. You're not gonna die from a spear.
Yeah, exactly. And so Ransom goes and tries to do something to stop him, but he just gets a net thrown on top of him and electrocuted, and so he's done in for. And Mariner basically gets kicks some ass, but then they all get basically captured. So back on the Cerritos, they're all like rushing around to get all their work done. Then the Galrakian ships come, and they basically
board the ship.
They board the ship. They take over the Cerritos because nothing works because everyone's doing such a half-ass fast job. They can't finish their work. So half the things they want done can't get done. And
they can't repel the invaders because they're too busy half-assing the work that they have to get done. So they're not late.
And then back on the planet, Mariner and Ransom are locked in a cell, and they have to. This is pretty funny because they have the rest of the crew tied to a rock, and they have like a giant geode.
They're gonna smash them with.
That's gonna smash them with. They call it the adjudication geode. It's a great name, and so they have to fight this gigantic beast called Vindor, and they throw him a sword. Vindor. Yeah, they throw him a sword, and Vindor looks basically like the Hulk, but gray. And
Gray Hulk.
Ransom and Mariner start fighting about who's going to fight Vindor, and then Ransom stabs Mariner in the foot because he wants to make sure that he's the one that fights. So anyways, and back on Cerritos are just totally being taken over. The Galrakians are like putting graffiti all through the halls, and Boimler is just kind of just doing his things until the Galrakians kind of stop him and threaten him, and he just starts shooting at him.
It's like, I've got a phaser, and he's the only one keeping up with his tasks and having plenty of time to do stuff.
And he's fine with it. It's nothing's bothering him.
The captain's on the bridge, and she's doing everything for everyone because everyone else is passed out except for her and Shax.
They're all exhausted because they're all overworked. And then when Boimler comes up, she basically, Captain Freeman's like, "I'm a failure. I'm not a very good captain," and stuff like that. And he realizes that you can't do everyone's job. That's not how you should be running things. So then back on the planet, Ransom and Mariner are like I said, they get stabbed in the foot, so she can't fight. And Ransom goes to fight Vindor, tears off his shirt. And goes to attack him, and kind of does like Kirk Fu on.
It is totally Kirk Fu. It's like double-handed punches and kicks and stuff like that. It's just very much Kirk Fu.
And Mariner seems a bit turned on.
Mariner's getting totally wet.
So,
and it's not just her foot that's bleeding.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, not just her foot that's bleeding. What else is bleeding?
Well, no. She's not just wet from the blood on her foot.
Are you saying she has her period?
No, I was just saying her pussy's getting wet because she's excited, but her foot's also wet from all the blood.
Wrong. Phrase that so wrong.
You're welcome.
You're
You're welcome, everyone.
So,
you can get wet on your period. It's fine.
So, yeah, you could. Yeah, that's true.
Women can get excited. And what's wrong with that?
Nothing at all. So Freeman decides, because Boimler basically says, you're a great captain, but you have these rules, and the results have resulted in 1 week of the best week of his life on Cerritos. But Freeman basically says the crew is in disorder, so why not just tell them to break all the rules and take care of these Galrakians? So that's what she gives the orders. Just whatever you need to do, get rid of these Galrakians.
Repel the invaders.
Yep. And back on the planet, Ransom basically beats up Vindor, and so they're free to go.
Well, Vindor's sad because he doesn't like being the muscle. He wants to read some books and and study art or something.
Right. So anyways. So the crew is cleaning up everything from on the Cerritos, and the Galrakians apologize for what they did, and then Shax is down there saying, those wood worshipping freaks of Malox Prime. So I thought it was kind of funny. And then back in the sick bay, Ransom and Mariner kind of like have a little discussion, and he's like, well, thanks for, I'm going to pack things up, Ransom says, because I attacked you and I shouldn't have done that. So, and she's like, I'm not going to report that. What are you talking about? It's great. I love that you did that. And then he throws her into the brig for not rolling down her sleeves.
Oh man, what a dick. And then like she's all yelling at him that she's going to kill him, and now he's getting aroused.
It's like, it's kind of hot. And then Captain Freeman gets Boimler into a ready room and says that she is now having a ship-wide mandate known as the Boimler effect. And basically the Boimler effect is, you use buffer time. and don't follow the rules if you don't think you need to. And Boimler's like, no, I'm going to be remembered for this, and it's not what I believe in at all. And they're like, don't worry, nobody will remember that. But in the far future, we got a school teacher that's just teaching the Boimler effect, and it's named after Brad Boimler for his laziest methods in cutting corners.
And then the more important thing, the life and history of Miles O'Brien, which I thought was the funniest thing in the entire thing.
That was pretty funny, yeah.
I was like, yes, a Miles O'Brien shout out. That is absolutely amazing. That's been the best moment of the show so far. So, I have questions about this far future. Is this after the far future that Discovery's flung into, or is this before that far future that Discovery's flung into?
They did not get into that far. So
I'm just like, it looks like it's still a paradise and Federation-y all in the future. Like, what's going on with this? And then I don't know. It was vague, and I was like, where does this fall?
Yeah.
Where? How far in the future is this?
Yeah, and we don't. I guess we won't know, but what did you think about this episode? A little bit different than the last two.
Yeah, I mean, Mariner's acting more real. I mean, the whole the first officer having a bigger part was interesting, but he's like super anti-Starfleet, like just stabbing her in the foot. I mean, like Kirk would like try to sabotage things so he could like have his way, but not like, I mean, he would never like stab Spock in the foot.
He might knock somebody out if he had to.
Yeah, but knocking them out and like cutting their foot open, I don't know. I feel like that's not the same thing. I don't know. I feel like it's a way worse. I mean, knocking someone out to protect them versus like stabbing them in the foot. I don't know. I feel like the stabbing in the foot's a way worse thing to do to somebody. Mariner's becoming a more real person, which I like. But this episode, like I said, had like the weird like anti-science stuff that just doesn't make sense for a show that's supposed to be canon to Star Trek, and like, Star Trek's, I guess historically was big into science. and the sound moving between the Federation ship and a Klingon ship just didn't make any sense. I'm like, sound doesn't move in space. So my sciencey nitpickiness is kind of got a little bit offended by that, but I mean, it was still a pretty good episode. I'm definitely still enjoying Lower Decks. It's just, even though Mariner's toned down, the rest of the episode felt more like a cartoon than the last couple, I guess. Because in the first 2 episodes, it seemed like Mariner was the cartoony one, and everything else seemed kind of real around it. And this episode seemed more like a cartoon, like in like plot and stuff like that. Whereas Mariner actually finally seemed like toned down to like a normal person. So like, it's just a couple little things just feel off to me. Where it's just like, come on, like you could nail this. How about you, Aaron?
Felt, I mean, other than the silliness of the them trying to be more efficient on the ship and burning everyone out, it felt very much like a standard Trek episode, like getting captured on the planet and having to fight somebody. I mean, that's very standard Trek fare.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you and I can relate because of some of the jobs we've had that, like, you have to have something done in a certain amount of time, or, you know, they time you about everything you do with metrics. Yeah,
metrics are the worst. Metrics are the productivity killer.
It will burn you out and not make you care about anything. I think you should be accountable for certain things, of course, but you gotta at least give the person some kind of I don't know. It killed my joy of life. So that's for sure.
Oh yeah, micromanagement to like the nth degree is never good for anyone.
Yeah.
It's there to supposedly help productivity, but it's such a killjoy to being alive that it just kills all productivity, I think, or it kills the person. The person's, you know, essence of wanting to be alive.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't know. It just, and metrics fueled things that you're referring to, customer service is, you're supposed to help people, but the metrics are set in such a way that you have to, like, not help them. You have to just churn them out and hope they understood what you were saying and get to the next person as quick as possible.
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive to the whole customer service thing.
Right. And, you know, obviously, you know, like, you want things done in a timely manner, but some things take a little longer. Some things take a little more care. I mean, it's like, and I think a lot of times you see that is because, in a way, I know what the Lower Decks is kind of like a response to, like, management. You know, management's always like, how can I squeeze all the productivity out of the people I can? How can I get people inspired? But they always go about everything the wrong way. And they just have to understand that people are not going to love everything about their job, and they just have to find ways to keep them happy while they're doing their job.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of times, you know, it's just they you know, like you said, they put metrics and stuff like that, and they try to do things that are just not making people happy. So...
Yeah, I mean, I think most micromanagement is detrimental to the morale of anyone who's being put under that kind of micromanagement.
But I mean, but that being said, the crew of Cerritos seemed to fall apart pretty quickly.
Pretty quick. I know the show was pitched as this is the least important crew in Starfleet and da-da-da-da-da, but I mean, they're only 30-minute episodides, and this is only the third one. Like, why is the Cerritos the laughingstock? Like, we haven't really established that yet. Especially since this is a show where we're following the Lower Decks crew. Like, we don't know why they're such a failure. So, I mean, there must be a failure at the command level for them to be, you know, pushed off and you know, relegated to obscurity.
Right.
But we don't have a sense of that, and this is very much like classic Star Trek, where there is no real, like, heavy through line. This is episodic Star Trek. This is the first episodic Star Trek since Enterprise, I guess.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's the Mariner being a rebel through line, and
oh yeah,
and Boimler, being by the book. But I mean, that's just who they are. It's not really There's no like dots really to connect other than it's just the same character. It's like Next Gen. It's very much like Next Gen.
Oh, it's the whole thing's an homage to Next Gen. There's no way around that.
Which I mean, it's not a bad thing. I just the show's still trying to find its groove. I mean, I like that Mariner's getting more normal, and some of the callbacks are great still. I'm looking forward. I just want to see the show fall into its groove, and I think it's getting there.
Yeah, I'm enjoying everything so far. The last episode or so, last two episodes haven't been as funny as the first one, but there are some funny parts to them for sure. I mean, there's definitely things that make me chuckle. I am interested in see how things are going to shake out because I mean, there's only 7 more episodes
left.
Yeah. So, but a lot can happen in 7 episodes. So,
yeah, I'm curious. They're going to start to build the through line, like to. I don't know if there to be like a big finale. I'm just curious as to like what their end game is with this show, because it's. I mean, other than the silliness, it's the most faithful to like a regular Star Trek show. You've got you get the problem, and then the characters are overcoming the problem, and it feels very much like Star Trek for the most part. It's just little nitpicky things that the character of Mariner and some of the weird science things they don't think about just so they can make a joke. I mean, are we expecting more of that? Do you think like they're going to throw away science just to make a joke, or
I they'll bend rules just to make jokes? I'm sure. It didn't bother me so much. I like when you were talking about the sound of the bass. I just kind of thought that was going through the speakers. That's what I thought. Like getting caught by the microphone. But once they muted it, they would have been like, it's not there anymore. So.
Oh, I thought the Klingons called because they were disturbed by the bass.
I don't know. No, yeah. So I think it's great. I think it's still pretty good. I still like it. I still like it better than Picard.
Oh yeah, it's by far still way better than Picard, better than Discovery. I just wonder if there's going to be like a through plot line at some point, or if it's just going to be straight homage to Next Gen, just episode to episode, and it's just these characters. I almost wish it was a little bit longer so we could get more of so we could follow the bridge crew a little bit more instead of just whenever they happen to intersect. Because I would like to see why the Cerritos is considered the laughing stock of the Federation, because we don't really have that. And I kind of wish maybe this would be like a later episode so that we could get that, like other than just being told that they're the laughing stock and they don't do anything right.
Right.
I mean, just to have a little bit more oomph to that statement, and why she feels like they need to like change so much is that she's in a worker crew ragged. And this episode totally was a misnomer. I thought they were going to totally like do like a time travel thing.
Right, I did too. Yeah,
and it was no time travel. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. It's micromanagement time.
Right. Well, got to tell jokes somehow. I don't know. I'm definitely enjoying it, and I think this is. I still think this show is going to be great. I think it's going to be remembered as something pretty special as years go on. Lots of inside jokes. If you like Star Trek, you're gonna you're gonna laugh at a lot of things. So
many inside jokes, and then the whole O'Brien thing at the end, like that was my favorite joke they've made the entire show so far. That's my favorite bit. They just like, let's just remember Miles O'Brien. I'm like, oh my god, and how he's more important than Boimler. I'm like, yes, yes, he is so awesome. Oh man.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, guys, if you have other thoughts about Lower Decks, if you hate it, or maybe there's something we missed that you're like, oh, you should have talked about this, we'd love to hear anything you have to say. You can contact us if you like. You can go to our Facebook page, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. You can join us there. You can also email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can tweet at us at Synthaholics Duo. And if you want to support, you can go to our Patreon.com/Synthaholics, and throw us some money our way, and we greatly appreciate that. Also, a great way to support us is by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, or just tell your friends about our episodes. So we'd love that too. All right, Dave, next week, more Lower Decks.
Woo, Lower Decks.
All right, guys. Well, until then, hang on tight, and we're gonna get some more Star Trek going into the lifeblood of us. Until then, live long and prosper, one and all.
Sarcastic Vulcan salute out.
Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend